Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what's up? All right. Well, I'm coming in with my hands up, so don't shoot.
Okay.
You guys pretty much bodied those other guys. You know, I was kind of interested in the first caller. You know, he kind of had my question answered, and my question was, what would convince you that God exists? And
I don't know.
I think you responded to him. Well, I think you responded to him, and correct me if I'm wrong, you responded to him by saying that it wouldn't matter if God existed or not. God could appear in front of me right now and says, I am God, would praise or worship me.
No.
He said no.
No. I would believe, if a God appeared to me right now and demonstrated that he actually exists, I would, of course, believe that God exists, but that doesn't mean I'd worship it.
Separate things.
I believe Donald Trump is president, but I'm not fucking saluting him. Because I don't have to anymore. I'm no longer in the military. If I was in the military, I still would because it's required. But there's a different thing. There's what would convince you that God exists, and my answer is, I don't know. And the follow-up to that, of course, which everybody's heard probably 100 times at this point, is I don't know what it would take to convince me that God exists, but God should know, and God should be capable of doing it. And the fact that he hasn't means that he either doesn't exist or doesn't want me to know he exists right now. Either way, it's not my problem. But a God could exist and demonstrate that he exists, and I still wouldn't worship him.
Well, you know, it's my position that it's not possible to prove to somebody that God exists. I think, you know.
So why would anybody believe if there's no way to demonstrate it? Why would you believe?
Right. Well, I mean, we can go there. I'm a Christian, and I believe the biblical God. I'm not in a denomination. I just go my foundation is the Bible.
So you believe in the God that supports slavery and misogyny and slaughtering off the Malachites and everything else? Malachites?
Yeah, that's the same God.
Yeah.
It's well, the way you're putting it is kind of disingenuous.
My aching ass. No. Let's not say that this is disingenuous. What's disingenuous is pretending that the God of the Bible is not in favor of slavery and misogyny.
And genocide.
And
incest.
Yeah. Well, there's specific rules about incest and who you can and can't sleep with. Father-daughter's evidently not off limits, but the rest of them are.
Hey, I explained that to Lot and Moses.
Right.
Adam and Eve. Let's go to another.
Anyway. When you say something's disingenuous, in what way am I misrepresenting the God of the Bible?
Well, you're saying that God, like when you speak of slavery, you're talking about
Exodus 21.
Oh man,
well, I know what you're referring. I know what you're referring to.
Okay.
I'm well aware of those verses. But what I'm saying is, when you're referring to slavery, you're speaking about like the kind of we had 100 years ago in America.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about what's in Exodus. Is it more?
No, I know what's in Exodus 21.
I bet you don't.
Matt,
I bet you don't, or you wouldn't have called me. You wouldn't have called me disingenuous. Is it morally correct to own another person as property?
No, but
does the Bible allow people to own other people as property?
It does.
Then why? So you've just admitted the Bible advocates for something you view as immoral. How am I being disingenuous?
No. I'm saying it's God inspired, but what I'm saying is, does it say that God said that you can do that, or does it say if this happens, this is what needs to be done?
Okay, so let me see if I can frame. Let me see if I can frame this a little differently. If we don't have a law, hang on. If we don't make a law, okay, that prohibits police brutality, but instead we say, if a policeman beats a black man and he doesn't die within a couple days, he gets off. Is that moral?
I mean, but that scripture also doesn't say that the person just gets off like that.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Oh my God!
Matt's looking this up while you talk. In the meantime, I got to ask you, man, how hard would it have been for God to have just prohibited it, to say, "Thou shalt not own other people as property"? Just really quick, do you recognize that you're trying to justify slavery? Like, is that something that you recognize right now? And you could quibble about definitions, and that's fine, but you do realize you're You're justifying slavery right now.
Though. I mean, you guys keep saying, well, you could say definitions, you could say
no.
But that's bullshit.
That's because that this was a quick question, right? Because you're talking about. I just wanted to ask, do you even recognize it?
Okay, slavery. There was slavery back in those days, but in Israel, the whole servant thing is not like the slave trade that was going on back in those days. Now, even though the guy did beat his servant, and if he lives. But he still has to go in front of the judges after that. I mean, as you read in the verses besides that, if he harms his servant, he's to be let go free. I mean, back in those days when somebody was a servant, like when like people would be servants for a certain amount of years to pay off a debt.
No, Ryan, no. Indentured servitude is already immoral, and slaves didn't necessarily have rights, but that's not what we're talking about here. Let me cut to the chase. Ryan, would you be my slave under the rules established in Exodus 21?
If I could be, see, you keep saying slave, but it doesn't say slave, it says servant.
Oh my God. Ryan, would you be my servant under the rules of Exodus? No, shut up. Would you be my servant under the rules of Exodus 21?
It's a bad idea. Don't do it.
Why does this take even half a fucking second? This is the embarrassing thing. I'm gonna let you go, Ryan. I've already hung up because I want you to go and think about this. I'm not joking when I talk about how much this breaks my fucking heart to watch the poison that religion has imbued people with to the point where they will bend over backwards and hem and haw about the easiest question I could ask. Are people property? Can you beat them? Would you be my slave, my servant, if you want to pedantically? It wasn't written in English anyway. Under what Exodus 21 says. It is grossly immoral. It is an embarrassment that anybody would pause for more than half a second to answer that question. Think about what your religion has done to your head. It is making you a slave to the religion because you no longer have the free will and exercise to say, this is wrong. That is the poison that religion imbues the population with, and it has to stop. I would love to never bring up Exodus 21 again forever. If the Christian community and the Jewish community would just get together and say, this is fucking wrong, we're going to at least ignore this passage in Exodus. You also have to ignore the one in Leviticus and the one in Deuteronomy, and the fact that in the New Testament, Jesus never says anything against slavery, and the only thing Paul ever says is slaves obey your masters in the Lord, even the cruel ones, which is the exact wrong thing to say to anybody. There's a reason the slavery comes up over and over and over and over again, because it should be as obvious as whether or not the sun goes around the earth now that you actually have the evidence for it.